Hari Om Tat Sat, yogis. Welcome to your Easy Like Sunday morning yin practice. It doesn't have to be Sunday and it doesn't have to be the morning. I am using, as you can see, an essential oil. I like using essential oils. It's my dog, Rabubi is his name. I love using essential oils during my practice. If you've got something you can use, lovely, use it. If you don't worry too much. This is a blend from doTERRA called Air, and I think we have one called Breathe. It's the same, similar kind of thing. Opens up the nasal passages, helps the respiratory system. What you're going to need for today, other than your oils, is your eye bag or your buff or your hairband to cover your eyes, if you like to cover your eyes. 4 pillows, 3 or 4 bed pillows, and at least 1 blanket for your yin practice. And without any further ado, let's come to lie down on our backs. I like to start a lot of my practices, whether it's yin or vinyasa or hatha, whatever the case may be. I like to start on my back because it's one of the quickest ways to get your body to come into its natural alignment quickly and effortlessly. So coming down to lie on your back. It is yin. I like to have a little bit of luxury. So if you'd like to have a pillow below your head that's not going to be too high. So it must be something that is going to still allow your chin to soften into your chest. Take a nice deep breath in, exhale, side out through the mouth. And begin to arrive. Bring your awareness to your breath. Wriggle and jiggle. Do what you've got to do to get as comfortable as you can to lie completely still. Taking these moments to begin to move out of your head and into your physical body. But remembering in this moment that we cannot in fact separate the two, the one houses the other. So we are engaged in this potentially very beautiful, potentially very precarious dance between your mind, your body, your brain, your nervous system, your breath, your respiratory system, your prana, your life force, your energy. All of these things are in and around your body, and we are coming into a space where we are becoming conscious of how those things are interacting with each other, how you are interacting with yourself. Begin to lengthen and deepen the breath, coming to a full yogic breath, lower belly, middle lungs, upper lungs. If you still need to take 1 or 2 sighs to settle, do. Perhaps giving the lips a little lick. Soften the facial muscles, relax the jaw. Stay with the breath. Allow the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists and the fingers to soften. Allowing the weight of the body to just sink into the ground. Next breath, beginning to extend the exhale. So if your inhalation is 5 counts, extending your exhale by 2 counts, making your exhalation 7 counts. Starting in your own time, inhale when you are ready. You may find that in this process your capacity begins to increase, so you might start off with a 4 count and a 6 count exhale, but then you might notice that suddenly you're able to move to a 6 count inhale and an 8 count exhale. Giving yourself the time to allow the breath to expand. Advanced practitioners, if you've already begun to do so, great, but otherwise you can add a little retention onto that on the top of the inhale, holding for 2 counts before exhaling and extending your exhale. Maybe even adding a hold on the bottom of the exhale, so inhaling for 6, holding for 2, exhale for 8, hold for 2, inhale for 6, hold for 2, exhale for 8, hold for 2. And then letting go of the controlled breath and just letting it come back to something that feels a little more natural. Letting the breath just adjust itself. Your next breath, beginning to invite some movement into the fingers and the toes. What you've just done is communicated to your nervous system through the breath that it is okay to come out of the fight or flight mode, the sympathetic nervous system, and come into your heal, rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system. So you just use the breath to change gears. Rotating into the ankles and the wrists. Then beginning to bend into the knees, one knee at a time. Drop the knees in towards each other for constructive rest. If you're still happy with the pillow underneath, yay. If you feel like it's time to move it and you want to lengthen the back of the neck and the back of the head onto the floor, that's absolutely fine. Just taking 3 breaths with your arms wherever you would like them and your knees in constructive rest. So just dropping the knees in towards each other, noticing what happens in the pelvis, the lower back, the hips. Gently beginning to gently tracing your hands along your body, wherever it feels natural, perhaps around the hips, perhaps across the belly, perhaps up onto the rib cage. And if there is a resistance in you to begin to touch your own body, then ask yourself what that is about, and then give yourself permission to explore, give yourself permission to release. Give yourself permission to relax. On your next breath, open those knees up, extend the arms out to the side at shoulder height, and begin to drop into your windshield wipers. At this point, I would like to take my pillow away so that I can include my head and my neck into this windshield wiper, lifting my head up off the ground, turning the ear to the ground, so making sure that your face is turning in the opposite direction to where your knees are going. Please do this very slowly and gently and carefully as you begin to open up into the hips and the lower back. There are still some sighs that want to make their way out of my mouth, so if that's also you, then enjoy yourself. Come back to center. Coming up to happy baby. Allowing any moans or groans at least, or sighs to continue emanating from the body. I truly believe that sometimes the body needs a vocal release. If you'd like to take a moment of activity in your happy baby, that's fine, pressing the hands into the feet and the feet into the hands. And then after a moment or so, just letting it become a little more passive. If this is not accessible for you, you can rest your hands on the back of your knees or on the backs of your thighs, and just bring your knees up to wherever you can manage that feeling, that sensation. Breathe. Taking a moment to really let the chest, the shoulders, the elbows soften and let them just drop down to the ground. Take 3 more deep breaths here. Really deep breaths. Seeing if anything else can just dissolve. And then on the next breath, take your legs up to the ceiling, coming to waterfall, where you can see my little white calves. Soften the chin to the chest. You don't need to engage the legs in any way, no pointing, no flexing, nothing. But I realize for some of us this is quite challenging. So you're going to stay here for just as long as you can manage. Just feeling again the weight of the legs just dropping down towards the knees, towards the hips, the lower back lengthening onto the ground. There's some work in the abdominals and the tummy muscles. There's some work in the hamstrings. If you need to bend your knees, no problem. I like to turn my palms up in surrender. So in today's practice, we are honoring the new moon. It's a new moon that we're in, and we're also approaching the last week of the full lockdown. If you're watching this after lockdown, then it's a little bit like a time capsule. You're time traveling. So the new moon is all about newness, obviously. Starting new projects, new seasons, literally. There is a newness that you have access to. So as we are coming out of this lockdown, take 3 more breaths. If at any point you need to bend into the knees and bring the knees into the chest to rest, you do that. I would love for you to take your yin time today and allow yourself to explore the idea of one thing. Is there one habit that you've begun during the lockdown? Is there one habit that you'd like to keep moving forward? I'm definitely in agreement with Brené Brown and all the intuitive, amazing, academic, special, mystical, marvelous people in the world who are of the opinion that this is an opportunity for an entirely new system, a new way of living. This is an opportunity to create that. So without overwhelming you, is there one thing that you can take into your new life after the lockdown? Is there one thing you want to keep? And last breath. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them some squeeze. Soften the chin a little deeper into the chest. Take hold of your knees, one hand, one knee, right hand, right knee, left knee. And then begin to make circles with your hands on your knees, guiding the knees. You may want to go take both knees in the same direction. I find that a little bit more intense. It feels like my sacrum is wobbling like a saucer. Or you can go with your knees separate. I don't mind which one you choose. You may want to try both. Whatever you do, just going in both directions. Clockwise, anti-clockwise, a couple of times. And last breath. Rock along the spine. Rock backwards and forwards along the length of the spine. Maybe plow is natural for you there. If it's natural for you to just drop into a little plow there, then no problem, go for a little plow. If it's not in your range of motion, then just stick with the backwards and forwards. If backwards and forwards along the length of the spine is not available to you and that's really difficult for you, then just roll over onto the side and join us in a seated position. And coming up, coming straight into the diamond. I'm a fan of the diamond, in case you haven't noticed yet. And we're going to take a super restful diamond today. It's almost a restorative pose. Grab at least two of your pillows. That's a squishy one, I want poofy ones. At least two of your pillows, depending on how much you want to rest and how flexible you are. And then you're going to make this beautiful pile with your pillows. I'm going to start timing now. This is going to be a 3-minute hold, and we are going to, and halfway through, so at 1 minute 30, I will give you the indicator to switch cheeks. You may even hear it. I'm going to set an interval bell on the timer that I'm using. So begin to fold forward into your restorative diamond. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale side out as you settle in. So you might hear the bell. I'll make it loud. And there you go. And we're in. So starting on whichever side feels good for you, left or right, doesn't matter. We're doing both sides. Again. Some sighs, some moans, some groans, all good. You can either rest your hands just on the floor, on the outside of your mountain of pillows, or you can hug the pillows and place your hands somewhere between your pillows, which also feels really nice. And breathe. Let the breath stay long and deep. And switch sides with your cheek. Being quite cautious with your neck here. If you have sensitivities in the neck, or if your neck is feeling a little tender, we're all having a little bit of tender necks and shoulders with the time we find ourselves in. So if you find that your cheek doesn't want to go to the other side, it's too much for the neck, then just stay on the first side. No problem. Last breath. Inhale. As you exhale, sigh the breath out of the mouth and very, very, very gently rolling up. Take your pillows away. We're going to be a lot in the forward bends today. From here, just open your legs out wide. I'm going to turn around and face you. And then you're going to do pretty much the same thing. Remembering here that the goal with this is not to see how wide open you can get your legs. This is going to be a longer hold. This is going to be a 4-minute hold. So put my spectacles back on. So it's not, don't go to the fullest extreme that you can get in here. Remember, we're working our way in with our yin. Same option applies here, making your mountain of pillows. You can either make your mountain of pillows and fold over your pillows lengthways, or if you find that you can get quite close to the ground and you're quite flexible there, then you can take your pillows widthways and maybe take them a little further out and rest your forearms on your pillows. So making your decision with whichever one you want there. There'll be no interval bells this time. I will just invite you to move in a little bit deeper if you would like to, or remove a prop if you would like to. And settling in, making sure you've got the props that you want where you want them. Inhale as you exhale, folding into the pose. Relaxing those ankles, the knees, and the hips. I'll start with my pillows a little bit closer and then work my way down. Staying with the breath. Remembering that these long holds, you have the opportunity here to explore the depth of your thoughts. So it's not so much about controlling the mind or shutting the mind off or stopping thinking, so much as it is about curating what is in there. So just giving yourself space to notice what surfaces, and then acknowledging that you have the power to choose to continue down that road with that train of thought, or stop. Come back to the breath. Come back to the body. That's already a minute. So if you'd like to adjust your pose and take away a prop, or add a prop, if you discovered you went in a little too deep, you can do that. Maybe you want to take a prop away. We're more than halfway. I sometimes like to take a little halfway lift and then exhale, fold a little deeper. Is there something that you can soften, lengthen, let go of? Remember, if at any time you feel like you've gone too far and you need to pull back, that's okay. Remembering that the gauge for that is pain. If you're in pain, please don't be in pain. Pull back. If you are in discomfort, that's a different thing. We're almost there. For these last 20 to 30 seconds or so, see if you can just find one final bit of depth. Oh. And last breath. Inhale. Exhale. Very gently, very super gently, walking yourself out. Bring your hands underneath your knees, help them up, and come into Sukhasana, easy pose, crossing your legs in front of you. Bring the hands onto the knees, and then begin to take a cat-cow-like motion, dropping the head back. Exhale, round into the back, and you can make this as active or as passive as you like. You can make it a small, subtle movement, or you can make your way into the fullness expression that your spine, your hips, your shoulders, your ankles, your knees will allow. And then drop the chin into the chest, and just begin to slide the chin across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. Just feeling around in there, just feeling around for where your tense bits are, where your tension is, being very cautious and being curious. This is like it's an observation trip. It's like you landed on the moon and you are just exploring this new territory. Just being curious with what's happening in there. Inhale the head back up to center. Drop left ear to left shoulder. Walk the left fingers out to the side. Inhale the right arm up and over. If you're very bendy and you can get down onto the elbow, yay. If that's not where you're at today, then just stay on the hand, stay on the palm of the hand. Inhale, exhale, reach that top arm over. Try to make sure you're not collapsing into the bottom shoulder and that the top shoulder is eased out of the ear. You don't have any shoulders in the ears. One more breath. Drop your top hand down. And walk yourself forward into the forward fold. Again, you may not get very far here, no problem. You may just take incremental movements forward. That's totally okay. It's the exhale in the forward fold that is going to take you deeper. Last breath. Walk the hands back. And you're going to take a little twist here. Take your left hand out to the side in the diagonal. So your left hand is in line with your knee. Come onto the fingertips, temple the fingertips. Inhale the right arm up and open. Then flatten that hand down to the ground. I've got a wall right here behind you, but I hope you've got a little bit more room. And just take that hand as far back as you can get it. Look up towards the ceiling. Inhale, exhale, soft shoulders, last breath, release. Swap sides, being very controlled. The transitions are just as important as full poses. Starting on the fingertips, look back towards that extended arm. Flatten the right palm down to the ground. Draw that left arm up and back. Look up to the ceiling. And last breath. Release it down. Swap the cross of your ankles. So you probably put your dominant leg out first the first time. And swapping sides. Coming to the right hand side. Take the right hand out to the side. Maybe you can go all the way onto the forearm. Maybe not. Inhale. Left arm up and over. Bottom shoulder forward, top shoulder back. Stretch all the way into that arm. Look up to the ceiling. Look down to the ground. Find a place that feels good for your neck.
And then maybe just drop that ear into the shoulder, making sure that there are no shoulders in ears. Deep breaths all the way down to the low belly. You can still feel your low belly expanding. You can feel your ribs expanding towards the ceiling. You're breathing into the low belly, the middle lungs, and the upper lungs. You want to feel the focus of the expansion on the top side of your lungs, the side that's facing the ceiling right now. Last breath. Drop that top hand down. Walk yourself into the forward fold. Maybe you get down a little deeper this time. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Go to the fullest expression that you can manage. Breathe. I'm going to take a nice long beautiful Om here as I fold forward. Inhale. Let's try that again. Walk the hands back very slightly. Inhale, fill the lungs, and then as you exhale, trying to come down at a measured pace. As you exhale and fold forward, you're arming yourself into the forward fold. Inhale. Just for these last moments or two, coming to the fullest place of rest that you can in this position. Even if you're up here and this is as far as you've gotten, just soften the chin into the chest and let the head hang heavy. And last breath. From here, I'm just turning sideways so you can see where we're going. Walk your hands forward, roll over the ankles, over the shins. Come to open kneed extended child. Again, you can either do this with your beautiful mountain of props. So if you're feeling like you need a little bit more of a restorative practice today, I know it's yin, I know there's a difference between yin and restorative, and I know I'm cheating here. If you didn't know that, there is quite a big difference between yin and restorative. Yin focuses on the connective tissues, joints, ligaments, tendons, fascia. Restorative focuses on deep rest, which means we are not looking for intensity, hence this being a little bit of a restorative kind of a cheat. Yin, we're exploring some intensity. Restorative, we are just looking for deep rest. And we're going to hold this for 2 minutes. Now, if you are not feeling, if you feel like you'd get more benefit from taking the normal open kneed extended child and you don't want to use the props, don't, because there is a different sensation. There's a completely different sensation. There is more length in the spine without props. We're in. If you were holding the restorative version already, that's okay. In the restorative version, the back is a little more rounded because you're over your props. If you've got no props, you can rest the forehead, the cheek on the ground, either cheek or the forehead. Feel that lengthening into the lower back if you are not using props. Stay with the breath. You can also, if you're not using props and you're all the way down on the ground, you can fold your arms and hold opposite elbows, or you can make a pile of pillows with your hands and put your forehead on them. And then that does a whole other lovely thing in the neck and the shoulders. Stay with the breath. Sorry, I didn't mention it before, but if you have got sensitive knees or shins, that's the reason why you've got a blanket as well, so you can be doing this over a blanket, on a blanket, if your knees are not happy or your shins are not happy. And last breath, inhale, exhale. Gently, gently release, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and come on up to all fours. And begin to move through some cat and cow. Inhale up, exhale down. And really, really make your way into this cat and cow, man. Cat and cow, seriously underrated couple of poses. Really sharpen the sit bones to the ceiling when you're in that cow, and really draw the sit bones to the ground when you're in your cat, drawing the tailbone down to the ground. And last breath, come back to neutral, and then coming up to downward facing dog. We're going to try and hold a downward facing dog for 2 minutes. If that is too long for you, you just come down and rest, no problem. Up we go. I call downward facing dog the great equalizer. Maybe nodding your head yes, shaking your head no. If you need to take a little bit of movement, maybe a little pedal, it's absolutely fine. We've almost done a whole minute already. If you need to come down and rest, come down and rest. Otherwise, holding for the last minute or so. You can hang out in your flexibility here. You can have slightly locked elbows or locked knees for a little bit. We're not holding our dog like we do in a yang, in a vinyasa. Stay with the breath, full, long, deep, slow. Good job. Come down onto the knees. And walk yourself straight into a melting heart. So walk the hands forward. If you want to intensify, well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's intensifying for you, but you can explore putting your forearms on a pillow or even 2 pillows. So for some people, they find it more intense to not use props. You may find it more intense to use props. So melting heart, resting your forearms on your extra pillows if you like. Most important thing is making sure that the hips stay above the knees. The forehead is going down towards the ground, or your cheek, if that feels better. I like to take this variation with the props. You can really feel that deep stretch into the side body, into the armpits, into your pectoral muscles, your booby muscles. But you don't have to use the props if you don't want to. You can stay on the ground. And last 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Sigh out through the mouth. Very, very gently, man. Super, super slow. Releasing one arm. Woo, and then the other. And then bringing your pillows with you if you use them in your melting heart. If you didn't use them in your melting heart, then grab 1 or 2. From here we're going to a forward fold that stimulates the digestive meridian and the digestive system as part of our forward fold. So tucking your thumb into the palms of the hands and then curling your fingers over the thumbs. And then you're going to place those fists just below your belly button, above the thigh crease, below the belly button. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold. So you can either keep your pillows there and then give your head something to rest on if the full child is too much. So take a moment to figure out we're going to hold this for 2 minutes. So figure out what level you want this at. Then you're just going to let the elbows drop down to the floor. Very counterintuitive to anything we usually do in vinyasa, where we want the elbows nice and tight. And settling in, making your decision about your props. And fold. So it will feel difficult to breathe deeply here because you are constricting the lungs, you are constricting the lower belly. That's okay, that's how it's supposed to feel. Imagine instead that you are filling your back, that you're filling your lower back with breath, and that your thoracic, your ribs, the middle of your back, the intercostal muscles are swinging outwards and upwards towards the ceiling. If this is really hideous for you, you can adjust this position by placing, so if Vajrasana is awful for you, you can put a pillow underneath your heels and your bum, and then put another pillow underneath your head, so you can make that a bit easier. See if you can just let the shoulders and the elbows just drop down a little more towards the knees, towards the ground for these last 15 seconds. And last breath. Very gently roll out. I know this position is a little bit tricky, so remembering if at any point in any of these classes there's a pose that you just can't do, that's okay. Just find yourself an alternative. take a break, do something else if something is just not possible for you. Coming back up to our last downward facing dog, tuck the toes, push up. I'm not going to time this one. You're just going to hold this one for as long as you can manage. Come down onto your knees when you're done, and then turn around and sit down on your bum. But let's see how we go for a little bit. Find stillness. In the body and in the mind, if possible. If you need to come down, come down. Last breath. If you're not down yet, everybody coming down. Take your feet out to one side, sit down on your bum. Extend the legs out in front of you. And we're going to take caterpillar. So you're very welcome to take one of your pillows. If your hamstrings and your leg joints, your hips, knees and ankles are quite tight, or your fascia, the tissue, connective tissue that runs all over your body is very tight and you find forward folds very difficult, you're welcome to place a pillow underneath your knees, or a rolled up blanket or a rolled up towel or some such thing. This is going to be a long hold. It's going to be a 5-minute hold, and then you're obviously then still welcome to use as many props as you like today. We're taking a slightly restorative yin practice. 5-minute hold, so taking your time to settle in, get the props that you need. I like to just start with my elbows above my knees, but you're welcome to have as many props as you like. Inhale as you exhale. We're in, soften the chin down towards the chest. Let the head hang heavy. And breathe. This is going to be one of the longest spaces of silence that we have. I'm just remembering, coming back to my theme for today. What do I really want my life to look like, actually? What would my ideal day look like? And if I'm 1,000 miles away from my life looking like that, what one small thing can I take out of lockdown with me that I've been doing that brings me some joy or some peace or some hope? Something that really makes you happy. Is there one thing that you can take with you into the next phase, into the next transition? One small thing. And if, like me and my husband and Denton, you're finding that this lockdown has in fact propelled you closer to, unwillingly almost, propelled you closer to the life that you actually want. Noticing how all of that makes you feel. Giving yourself permission to live the life that will be good for you. The life that will be good for you will be good for everyone. Can you trust that? Can you trust that the life that will be good for you will be good for others that you come into contact with, or that you serve, or that you love? Maybe you being really happy Maybe you being at peace is what all the people in your life need. Ooh. Can you slide a little deeper into this pose? Is there a prop you can take away? Is there a breath that you need to take? A moan that you need to groan? We're approaching the last minute. You can bend your knees a little bit more. I like to, at this point, if you're quite low down, you can join me in this. I like to take my hands and then place them into the nape of my neck. You can clasp your fingers, but I like to just rest them upon each other and just allow the weight of the hands to lengthen the neck a little bit more. So no pushing, no pulling, just gravity in the weight of your hands. If you're not quite so low down and you're just a little bit further up, then just let the head hang heavy, maybe even softening the chin a little deeper into the chest just to broaden the back of the neck for these last moments. Inhale, exhale, and inhale. Good job. Super, super slow coming out, guys. Super, super slow. Oh. Bend into the knees. Lean back. Oh. Put your feet flat on the floor. Oh. Lift the chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. If it's comfortable in the nape of your neck and your cervical spine, drop your head back. If it's not comfortable, you keep your gaze forward, but keep lifting the chest and squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhale, exhale. Take the feet a little bit wider and begin to windshield wiper your knees. From side to side. Taking your time with this. Keep your feet nice and wide. You'll find that you are walking your bum down the mat and your arms are becoming straight out behind you. Maybe you can get that knee a little bit closer down to the ground. Check in with what's happening in the shoulders and your upper back, your clavicles and the chest. And then when you get to the point where your arms are quite straight and stretchy, we are heading towards Shavasana. So if at this point you would like a pillow beneath your knees during Shavasana, then if you're as adept as I am with your feet, then organizing it with your feet. Otherwise, coming out of the pose and reaching for your pillows and setting up, rolling down onto the back. If you need to use your elbows or you need to bend your knees quite a lot to come down onto your back first, no problem. And then adjusting the pillow underneath your knees. Oh. Before we come there, bring the knees up into the chest, give them a squeeze. Oh. And a last happy baby. Oh, feeling if this feels any different to your first one today. This is the only time in yoga that we're allowed to compare, that we use the concept of comparing. It's kind of more of a checking in, making sure that you don't do it otherwise. Comparison is not good for you guys. Comparing yourself to other people, comparing yourself to other people's growth, you have no idea what their backstory is. It's not a good idea. The only time you should compare yourself to anything is yourself. And then coming to your Shavasana. Extend the legs. Taking whatever position here feels good for you for your rest. I know some of you who do yin like to put your feet on a whole pile of pillows. That's lovely. Or even put your legs on a chair. Take your time to settle in here. Maybe your blanket. I'm pretty sure you've all reached for all the things that you want already. Eye bags, blankets, whatnot. Settle in. Take a nice deep breath in. And exhale, side out. Bring your awareness back to your breath. And settle. Take a long, slow inhale. An even longer, slower exhale. Allow the weight of the body to drop into the ground, not onto the ground, but into it. Imagining that there is no separation between you and the earth that you lie upon. That your atoms and your molecules have begun to vibrate at a higher frequency, and they're just sharing space right now. There is a sense in your physical body of both becoming heavier and lighter at the same time. Your awareness to the sense of sound, so your ability to listen and hear. Bringing your full awareness to actively listening, feeling the ears, listening. And then with that same sense of actively listening, imagining that you are listening to not the external world, so not what you can hear outside the house or inside the room, but what you can hear inside your body, inside your mind. Listening, as Simon and Garfunkel would say, to the sound of silence. Is it silent? Soften the body. Letting go of any last vestiges of tension, shifting your awareness, your consciousness between how the body feels and how it sounds inside the mind. Relaxing the glutes down to the ground and then bringing your awareness back to inside. The sound of inside. And then letting go of conscious listening, letting go of conscious embodiment. moment, allowing yourself some moments of wondering, resting, just being. Bring your awareness back to your breath and back to your body. Take a long, slow inhale and an even longer, slower exhale. Begin to gently invite movement back into the fingers and the toes, touching each fingertip with the thumb, giving the toes a wiggle. Taking that movement into the ankles and the wrists, taking a very soft, not very intentional rotation. It can just be some loose movement. Inhale the arms up above the head and take a good full body stretch. Squeeze your glutes, lift your bum off the floor, point the toes. Take a breath, exhale. Relax the glutes, relax the legs, bend the knees. Either just rolling over onto your right hand side from here, or bring the knees all the way up into the chest. Or left hand side, whatever your jam is this morning, this day, this practice. Rolling over onto a side that feels good for you, supporting the head with the upper arm. Take a moment and then using your top hand to push yourself up to a comfortable seated position, keeping the eyes closed for the moment if you can. And coming to sit up in a comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you. Bringing the hands to prayer at the heart center. And we're going to close off today with 3 rounds of Hariom. Hariom being the remover of obstacles. And our declaration, our prayer this morning is that we are able to remove the obstacles that stand between us and living a life that brings us joy, that brings us peace, that brings us harmony, that brings us just living a nice life, man. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, side out. Inhale. Namaste. Please, guys, like it, share it, subscribe, share the love. Hariom Tat Sat.